Well, I think the biggest thing that we have to do that we haven't done well so far is actually mainlining business continuity management into the business. There's a lot of reasons why we haven't done that. Sometimes business leaders don't want that ownership. Sometimes, unfortunately, our practitioners don't want to give up the control. But the reality of it is that first B in BCM is business continuity management. And so we need the business leaders to own it like they own every other part of their business. That means functionally that their kingdoms are going to grow and our kingdom might shrink, but it does mean that the right king will be in charge of business continuity management.
It's a great question. I think that sponsorship and funding, that it's great and wonderful that you have management non-knowingly that yes, this is important, but when it comes down to actually being there and saying, yes, we need to do these things, and yes, I will give you the resources of the funding associated with that, it takes some effort. And I get the need, in the financial crisis that we've had over several years, that we have a concern around bottom line. But also I think it's important that management takes these type of events seriously, and they take the program seriously, and be cognizant of the brand image, be cognizant of the impact of the customer and the service. Fortunate at Microsoft that we have an overall global type of support of this environment. But just talking with my peers across the industry and over the years, it's something that's just been consistently being brought up as a matter of sponsorship and a matter of funding.
Well, Luke, I think there's still a challenge on how to critically position yourself in the industry and business continuity, and that's where you can have the greatest impact. I believe business continuity touches on many important initiatives, and to find the right spot and the right niche in the organization where you could be a change agent and make improvement and help to identify those risks and incidents and develop critical processes is a challenge for everyone yet today.
I think one of the big problems is, as you probably know, business continuity got recognized as a profession by the Department of Labor last year. And business continuity has never really found a permanent home in organizations. And we think the organizational issue is probably the biggest one we face. If business continuity, which is important to every corporation, will grow and gain stature, it needs to be placed at the right level in the organization. So where you see it reporting into the financial chain, in most organizations are reporting up to the chair. In some organizations, we still see it reporting to IT or security.
I think probably one of the biggest issues is that we don't have a defined body of knowledge. We're coming at business continuity basically as a trade profession. We're doing things the way we've done them for a long time, but there's really not really a sense of sort of the underlying theory behind it. Now, I'm not someone who actually thinks theory is the be-all and end-all, and most people really are correct in that sometimes theory can be deadly boring. But the problem with not having an underlying sort of theory behind business continuity is that we just don't have any benchmarks and really no basis to prove that we're valuable, no clear way to establish whether we're doing a good job or not. And as a result, if you talk to 100 business continuity practitioners about what business continuity is, you're likely to get 104 answers.
If there's perhaps one term, it's interdependency. I think increasingly in a globalized market environment, without question even reflecting on most recent events in the Middle East and especially Japan, the interplay, the interdependencies between corporations, certainly in the wider global supply chain environment as well as the globalized economy, but also between the public and private sectors. Governments rely on corporations, corporations rely on governments increasingly, and global corporations in particular are substantial players in that. In our case, we have a community of several hundred corporations we've been collaborating with for a good number of years now, and their primary focus, and one that's actually in a way the impetus for a new initiative on our end, is a need to bring together other multinationals to collaborate around shared risks and also to invite to that same table other key stakeholders in the equation. And these would be multinational, or I should say international organizations such as the UN, Interpol, World Customs Organization. There's an interest really to engage with governmental players on a nation-state basis, the equivalent in the U.S. of the FBI's, the Department of Homeland Security's, the State Departments, but looking at how those entities can be identified across a wider footprint of a global operation. inclusive of your supply chain or other presence from an operational perspective. Engaging with those entities, understanding that both the public and private sector have common risks and that we're much more effective if we collaborate on those common risks.
From a recruiting standpoint, maintaining their marketability. The industry's evolved so much and there's more candidates getting into the business continuity profession where individuals are struggling to maintain their marketability so they are ready for promotions within their current company, or if they're looking for a job search, they're ready to take the next step.
I think it's relevance. I think ultimately many business continuity professionals truly struggle with aligning what they see business continuity as to what the organization truly needs. And so ultimately you see that constant struggle with potentially unnecessary jargon, unnecessary complexity. But really when a business continuity professional takes a step back and truly tries to understand key issues like risk tolerance, the culture of the organization, and with a flexible approach, building the right solutions, that leads to that better connection to strategic organizational objectives.